Listen up or run for cover. Dropping knowledge from the people who have it to the people who need it. The real Brad Lee is dropping
what it is. Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, kids, I've got a treat for you, especially for those of you that are into the WWE. You might recognize this gentleman, Ryback. What's going on? Ryback Reeves in the studio.
Not much, man. I'm excited to be here. You got a phenomenal setup here. Beautiful.
Thank you. Man, I'm glad you're here. It's like when I found out you were in Vegas, I'm like, shit, dude. Got to get that guy on.
Born and raised, I heard you were as well, right?
No, I wasn't raised here. I came here in 91.
Where are you from?
Oregon.
Okay.
Well, I came here from Seattle, but originally grew up in Oregon.
Beautiful up there.
It is.
Those drives with WWE, that was one of my favorite routes, the loops, driving in that area out there. So,
Eugene, Oregon. Beautiful place.
What brought you here?
76 Monte Carlo. Dude, one day I was just sitting there. I was selling cars at the time at a place called Acura of Seattle. I was rooming with my buddy Ed, and that prick got me to do acid or some crazy shit. And my buddy called that lived here and said, "Dude, you got to come down here, man. There's freaking swimming pools and freaking palm trees and UNLV and freaking 5-to-1 chick ratio." And I'm just sitting up there in Seattle. I mean, it was beautiful. And that was the best time of my life. It was in Seattle. Everything was going on. But my roommate wasn't necessarily having the best time of his life. So he kept saying, let's go visit. And I'm like, I don't know, man. But so one day he just talked me into it. So I told my boss at the work, hey, I need a week off. He said no. So I said, all right, I'll quit and reapply when I get back. Because when you're a badass salesman, they let you do that.
Yeah.
So I basically said, I'm going whether you like it or not. And so he said, all right, well, your job's not here when you get back. I said, we'll see. So I quit my job, jumped in my buddy's Monte Carlo, drove down here straight just to be here for like a couple days. Took my check. My whole check was like $2,900 for the week. And the first day it was gone. And I'm like, shit, now we have no gas to get home. And it's like, dude, we were stuck. So I'm like, let me get a side job as a waiter, earn a little money, get out of here.
When I was younger.
Yeah, and so I got a job at, I don't know, if you've been here your whole life, you remember Fratelli's, don't you? On Trop. But anyway,
I don't know.
Fratelli's restaurant.
Is it a
little Italian spot?
Yeah.
So it's like on Trop and Eastern almost, a little bit up. So got a job waiting tables. Next thing you know, met people there. They're like, go to this party, go that party. So I started going to parties and meeting locals, met a girl, and boom. Been here since 91.
You can get into a lot of trouble here, but were you always confident? Because that's something I left when I left WWE. I had the same, for my things, I talked about it being injured, but they said, don't say anything when you leave. We'll bring you back. When I walked out, and I said, I just said, I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to say everything. I'm going to come back when I want, because I'm very confident. But have you always been that way as well from a young age, or?
Yeah, I don't know if it was confident. It might have been a little more arrogant. Yeah, back then. Now I think I would say it's confidence, because I'm definitely not arrogant. But back then it was probably more arrogance than confidence. I think I was. I don't know. I don't want to say celebritized in the world of sales, but my little world of car dealership. When you work there and kick everyone's ass every month, you kind of feel like you're the rock star, even though nobody knows you. You're at a little tiny car dealership, but there I was the king.
Absolutely.
And that gives you some false bravado.
And you could bring that anywhere. I mean, you could do that anywhere too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, at the end of the day, man, people ask me, because now people for some reason think I'm confident, but and I am basically, but I'm not. I don't know why people say that a lot, but they do. And so I started to figure out why don't people have the confidence, and it boils down to they don't believe in themselves due to the past, or shit they said, shit they did, and subconsciously They don't really like themselves, which hurts your self-esteem, hurts your confidence. And pretty soon you're walking around insecure, but nobody knows. And then you're making fun of people, so you feel bigger.
Absolutely.
Next thing you know, everyone hates you, and you're literally a reject.
Yeah. I always say hard work when you work hard. I just heard Connor on Tony Robbins' deal. And when you work really hard and you spend yourself each and every day, it creates a confidence. And a lot of people respect that and like that, and a lot of people hate it because it makes them feel bad. And I think, too, for me, having any sort of success in wrestling, but for me, letting go of my ego altogether has allowed me, and just learning and approaching life just with a learning mindset. I just want to learn as much as possible, because the more you learn, the more you realize you really don't know anything. But letting your ego go as well, I think, is something for me that has drastically allowed me to open up and improve in life and not worry. But hard work, there's no matter what your job is, when you apply yourself morning to night and give it everything you got with a belief and conviction, it will create a confidence if it's not there.
Dude, that's powerful stuff right there, folks. You better be listening up, because a lot of people ask me about confidence. I think it's an epidemic, insecurity and a lack of confidence. I mean, I get a lot of people saying, hey, how do I build my confidence? You know, with social media out there and everybody comparing instead of preparing, it's real easy to kind of feel, less than.
You want to know the best place I tell people that's helped me the most?
Where?
Make other people feel good. And that's a great starting point. Try to bring value to other people's lives and make other people feel good, and it will start that process of attracting more good, and confidence will start coming. Because when you, whether it's on social media or in real life, when you take it, let go of your ego, and you just look at it, how can I make other people feel good? When you start doing that, other people are going to start making you feel good, and you're going to start feeling better about yourself. Yeah. You're going to start trying harder. You're going to start applying yourself more, because that confidence is going to start building slowly. Because a lot of people don't know where to start. So that's my starting point for people. Start treating people good.
Start treating people better. There's a bomb right there. And by the way, folks, I've installed a bomb button for our guests just in case they want to bomb, drop a bomb on something I say or they say. So now there's dual bomb buttons. See, I can't be held responsible for dropping bombs now.
A lot of pressure on the big guy today.
Now that the guests have them. Folks, by the way, if you guys haven't heard of Ryback, he used to be in the WWE, got slammed around and slammed so many people around, had some injuries.
Yeah, man, I was with WWE since I was 22. I got signed. I dropped out of college.
Were you known as Ryback then?
Known as Ryan back then. Ryan Reeves. I was born.
Ryan Reeves. In the WWE, they made you use your real name?
No, my initial name in WWE was the Silverback Ryan Reeves. That was my first wrestling
Silverback,
name.
after the gorilla.
After the gorilla. I have at my pool at home, I have a little gorilla statue. My buddies, when I was a kid, I have a big forehead, one of those Neanderthal cavemen foreheads, but my friends when I was a kid called me Silverback. I had a peak in my bicep and a forearm muscle before I ever touched a weight, and was blessed genetically with that, and it's been a lot of hard work, but that kind of was a very fitting name, and so I took that to me when I went to the WWE, and grateful and very thankful for everything that was able to come of that, and unfortunately, a very physical job, and I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life there, quite frankly. I always wanted to. It was my dream job, and with anything, I think once you get to a place, you kind of can see it for what it is, and it's a different environment now, and there is a lot of great there still, but at the end of the day, it came in, got really hot. My first couple years, it was at the top main event level, and failed to win the world championship on many occasions.
But see, when you say failed to win,
yeah,
they didn't let you win.
Yeah. So, but this is we're talking in the green room in there, and so I got a lot of hate from a lot of people because a lot of wrestling fans take this very serious, and they look at you and they want to blame you, and it's acting.
And they don't realize someone told you you're going to lose.
So I succeeded thoroughly. I lived my dream. I played every role. I played the top good guy, the top bad guy, and a little bit in between. I succeeded in any role that was ever asked of me when you look at it from an acting standpoint.
Yeah.
A lot of wrestling fans, and it's just the way it is, it's part of the illusion of pro wrestling. They look at it and they need someone to blame, though. And sometimes it's easier to, well, that guy, he didn't win. It's his fault. He wasn't doing something right for them to pull the trigger on him. And so I got a lot of hate. I had to deal with a lot of hate early on. And the more success you have in life, the more hate you get, the more love you get. But it's all been a learning process for me, and I'm grateful for it all happening because I wouldn't be who I am today without all of that. But I was used in that main event capacity off and on for quite a bit and have a great worldwide fan base and whatnot. But towards the end, man, I'd always was positive and wrote it all out. And my body was giving up on me. And they were giving me Toradol and cortisone for my back and shoulder my last 2 years. And I was in contract negotiations, and they'd offered me a very nice multi-million-dollar deal to stay. And it was at the peak of my career. Toughest decision I ever had to make, Brad, because I knew deep down internally my body was giving up on me. I didn't know what was wrong, though, because you don't necessarily get MRIs when you're there because you don't want to know. It's part of the business, and you just go week to week, and those weeks turn into years really quickly. And I'd asked them to let my contract run out in August. It ran out August 8th, my mom's birthday, and they threatened me, and they said, we're gonna job you out, which is start having you lose all the time on TV. We're gonna pull you off TV, and then we're gonna fire you. Right then and there, the switch just went off in my head, and no, you're not. And
has there ever been a wrestler that was supposed to lose but they refused and they
no.
just wouldn't do it?
So not that I can recall. I'm sure there's been.
What would happen if you did that?
You'll get blackballed. I feel like in pro wrestling because pro wrestling is all about trust, and that's like me. No matter how much butting heads, I always went out. No matter what the job that was asked of me, you go out there and perform to the best of your ability. Whether my last 2 matches there. When I went and signed the contract, I went from the World Heavyweight Championship that was promised to me. Then I got put down to the second highest title. It was for me being on the WrestleMania, the big show, winning it, then to losing, and then going on the pre-show because I went to sign the contract. So they downgraded me to the opening thing my last 2 times against the smallest guy at the time on the roster, who was the champion, and had to put him over my last 2 matches there. Did it no problem. The guy is a great guy. It's part of the business. You can't, and you got to be able to give, because what would I expect? What's the attitude going to be when I'm supposed to win? You want that person to want to do the favors for you. So as a talent, you understand that respect, and you always go out and do at the end of the day what is asked of you. Now you could try to fight it and try to go in politic and express your concerns in times. I've done that at times and said my piece just so I know I tried. But at the end of the day, Vince McMahon makes the final calls, and it's his company. And I respected that enough to where a lot of guys will stay there and just bitch and complain their whole careers. I'd had many conversations with them. I decided to take fate into my own hands and bet on myself. And I walked out, and they'd asked me if I wanted to talk to Vince one last time before I left. And I just said, I don't want to see him ever again. I was that pissed off. And that wasn't true. At the time it was. But I needed to get out of there because that environment's very toxic at times.
Yeah.
And life on the road and living in hotels, gone 5-6 days a week, weeks at a time, living in it. And
were there groupies that would like hang out for you guys wanting to pump a wrestler?
So I was just talking to somebody about this. With pro wrestling, it's a very lonely lifestyle. The fame is great. I feel like they're more recognized than most sports stars because it's all in your face. When you're there, you develop habits on the road. Typically, and if you look at a lot of the older wrestlers, the wrestlers die younger than everybody else, most other sports, NFL included. And that's most of those that have worked for Vince McMahon. And it's because they pick up these injuries while they're there. But addiction to pain pills and drugs were the big thing in alcohol before in like the 80s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. And a lot of these guys dying very young in their early 40s and 50s. Now, though, WWE has a great drug testing policy, which I commend them on. But guys, alcohol, marijuana, chewing tobacco, women. Somebody's going to have one of those things on the road because you're living a lonely life of driving in rental cars 3 to 5 hours every night. Get into a town, check into a hotel. You do your own travel. You book your own rental cars, your own hotels. You pay for all that on your own.
Really?
Yeah. People don't understand how much money it actually costs to be a WWE superstar. And Vince is a billionaire for a reason. And I respect that. He's done it, but you got to know how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And you got to get what you're worth when you're there.
Did they have a traveling gym or anything?
You find them, man, on the road. You get good. And we're so lucky with the technology we have today. Yeah. Those back then, guys, you'd have to get directions, use a map. You get to use the Waze app or the GPS on the phone. You just type in a gym. 20 of them pop up.
You don't even have to type anymore.
No, you can talk. Talk to Siri, Alexa, and just go about your day.
It's the best time to be alive.
It is.
Now, see, you said you're grateful now, but you were saying you're grateful now, but you went through some hard shit.
Adversity, yeah, which everyone does. I've had adversity at different points in my life.
Now, when you were going through it, how'd you feel?
Like now, I'm going through adversity now with everything, and that's the best I've ever felt mentally. But like when I was younger and I got fired from WWE and developmental, I hadn't even made it yet. And they told me they had such high expectations from me at the start. And I came from a good childhood. Wasn't rich, wasn't poor, middle class family, played sports. I was the best at everything I did growing up. Didn't have to even try on a lot of things. Then as I got older and things get more competitive, I think I hadn't been tested yet. So when I got into WWE, I was met with adversity right away with my first trainer, Bill DeMott, which we shared the same birthday, very similar guys in a lot of ways. And he took a liking to me right away, big, physical, badass dude. And so he gave me physical adversity and made my life a living hell for a year. Put me through 8-9 hour training days, boot camp style training days, get in the ring and stretch me, blow me up, tire me out, just make me keep going. I never would quit, never have quit my entire life, anything. I'd rather die and just keep going. But I struggled for the first time in my life at something. I didn't get good at wrestling right away. And I got a really negative attitude early on because he was a very negative guy. And I respond well to it, but I also need a little positive reinforcement at times. Back then I did, I should say, because I wasn't confident enough yet in that going through all that. And I ended up getting fired my second year in developmental. And they said, we had such big plans for you. You were supposed to be the big star for us. And man, I got it hooked up with a girl, lived with her for a year and a half, raised her 2-year-old kid, developed a drinking problem in Louisville, Kentucky, chewing tobacco, alcohol every night, working at Smoky Bones as a server. I was ashamed I didn't come home for 2 years. I didn't talk to my parents hardly. I was so ashamed of myself that I lost what I'd went to go work for. And then my buddy introduced me to this book called The Secret. And he left me a $25 tip. He was in WWE, Luke Gallows. He's there now. And he goes, I want you to go buy this book. He goes, it's changed my life. He goes, I can't stand to see you like this. And we started together down in Atlanta, my first year in wrestling. And I went and bought the book, and I go, holy shit, this is how I used to think when I was a kid. This is how I acted my whole life when I had success. And then I got into wrestling and had a little bit of adversity, and especially in college too, here in Vegas, and started getting negative. And with everything with the internet at the time, and I didn't even realize it. And that book just kind of woke me up and led me to more books, different things, and just changed my entire outlook. But that was my first time having to face real adversity, being poor, living in a little shit studio apartment in Louisville, Kentucky, drinking a bottle of Burnett's vodka every night, big cheap-ass bottle of vodka, 1 or 2 cans of chewing tobacco. I'd serve 12, 14-hour days, go work out drunk. I kept moving, though, in all of it, but created some bad habits. And then that book taught me how to set goals and apply myself, and it just changed me forever right then. But that adversity then was my first time facing real adversity, and my mindset was just starting to really develop. And then now I've broke my ankle, WWE, when I was 28 on TV. I got living in Hawaii, ankle broke 3 places in a match. My boot was a little too narrow, got these new wrestling boots. Got drop kicked. My ankle rolled and snapped in 3 places. I popped up and I wrestled the rest of the match on it with my foot dangling, and won the match. Was scripted to win the match that night, and I spiral broke my leg. I got a scar all the way up to my knee. Long story short on that, the doctor botched the surgery, caused permanent nerve damage, putting 2 screws through my perineal and superficial nerves. My big toe doesn't work. I've done my entire successful WWE career with a kind of a gimp foot. And WWE, on that, 3 doctors told me I would never wrestle again. WWE actually fired me again while I was injured. I had to get attorneys. I had to fight to keep my job. I told them, I go, in 1 year, I'm going to be the biggest star that you have on the roster. Mark my fucking words. And I was. So, and they allowed that, to their credit too, before things got a little weird at times. But that was adversity for the second time, and my mind was much stronger when I broke my ankle that day. I actually had just read the book, The Power. It had just come out by Rhonda Byrne, and I was reading it on the plane ride home with my foot all swollen, getting blisters all over my leg from trying to fly from Hawaii back to Tampa. And I said to myself, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. And I chose to believe that rather than feel sorry for myself. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But so my mind just started growing as these things started happening. And then this adversity with WWE, choosing to walk out on millions of dollars that I've worked my whole life for and just start over, start feed me more nutrition, start a podcast, my investments. And because I'd lost the ability to make money physically for the first time in my life, which is a very scary thing for an athlete.
Yeah, especially one that's been doing it well.
Yeah, and also for one, I have a lot of unfinished goals in wrestling. That was a really tough pill to swallow. But I'm mentally in such a good place. It's just all strengthened me more. I just keep going up levels. And like I feel like with this one, the best thing with this time, with everything, is, and they telling me when I left WWE, I needed a 5-disc fusion and a shoulder replacement. And having to swallow that and go at 34 at the time, if I do this, I'm never wrestling again. It's game over. And coming across, you go, nope, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to me again. And it's tough to, sometimes it doesn't feel like it in the down days.
Well, that's where I was going with this, because too many people out there, they're going through tough times and they don't make the choice you did, which is just, freaking look on the positive.
Yeah.
But almost everybody I know that came through adversity, like real adversity stories where now they're on top, and every one of them say, looking back, that's the best thing that happened to me. Now, looking forward, though, it's not. Everybody is, in a situation that's uncomfortable or in some cases terrible. But they all, at some point, look back and say, that was the best thing that happened. So just imagine if it's you out there, I'm talking to the bomb squad, if it's you out there right now and you're in the position he was in, I've been in, almost anyone who's been in those positions understands that, while you're there, dude, it sucks. And you're thinking, why me? This is bullshit. And you allow yourself to just spiral into a freaking dump. And some people don't get out of that.
No, a lot don't.
And then they're blaming it, when in reality, successful people thank for that. So think about that, people, when you're driving around in your vehicles or you're listening to this podcast on your treadmill, and maybe you're in that situation. Everybody that's been in a bad situation that comes out of it successfully has always, been thankful for the situation they were in. So be thankful. That's what I wrote down right here. It's like, if people would just realize, when you're going through tough times and you're freaking hating it, be thankful that you're getting put through those trials, because that's what you said. That's what makes you who you become, to become what you really wanted anyway.
Absolutely.
So maybe, and again, I don't know people's spirituality. I don't talk about, mine or God or anything, but maybe if the universe or God chooses somebody, he wants to see, he wants to test you. He wants to put you through a little challenge. He wants to build you up through adversity to where you become deserving, really. I said one time, the universe weeds out the weak with adversity.
Absolutely.
So some people quit and give up, and it's like bullshit. Dude, if you are in a situation where you're getting hit and hit and hit and you're down and down, think about it like this. This is what I did. You're being tested. You're being auditioned. You're being groomed. You're being built up for something good. So when you're in a bad situation, man, be thankful that you're in that situation. I know it sounds weird, but am I right?
Absolutely right. And to add to that, and I think I've heard you even talk about this before, this, again, letting go of the ego, I think is a big thing.
Dude, an ego is not your amigo.
No, you got to let it go. And the whole why me, that will be your story for the rest of your fucking life if you do that. But changing it all goes back to giving. And this is the toughest thing for people. And you hear it with the most successful typically. But when we switch, for me, mindset, rather than saying, I have to, when you go to I get to, it's the most powerful thing for me, at least. And I catch myself all the time doing this. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. And I instead change it to I get to. You get to. Every day is a gift. When you treat every day like that and just let your ego go, quit comparing yourself to everybody, you get to do whatever you want today.
Yeah. Have you heard, I accidentally, created it, but it was gold. I said, well, I didn't say anything. I explained, and it got people to start thinking correctly. Like every morning we wake up, and you kind of just wake up. It's like, oh, I got to get up. I got to go do this. I got to go do that, instead of I get to. But if you think about it and you want to compare a value, if I said choose, I'll give you $1 million or I'll let you live, what would you pick? Everyone says, well, of course I'd live. Right. So you're saying that life, one more day of life, is more valuable to you than $1 million. Nobody picks $1 million. So it's so clear and obvious that, listen, life is more valuable than $1 million.
Absolutely.
But yet, if I just handed you $1 million, you would freak the fuck out. Everybody would freak out. Like they'd be so pumped up and so positive for not only the day, but probably the month, man. Yeah. Nothing could shit on their parade. Yep. They would be so fired up every single day because A, they got $1 million. B, it was given to them. Now think about this. Every morning you wake up and your eyes open and you realize, holy shit, I just got another day. Mm-hmm. That's better than getting $1 million check, but we don't wake up that excited. Why not?
It's mindset.
That's what it is. It's mindset, dude. It's perspective. We're waking up. You just woke up. Some people didn't. Yep. And if we could just shift our perspective and get the right mindset, dude, because when I wake up every day, dude, I seriously, people always say, you're just saying that. No, dude, I wake up in the morning. Soon as my eyes open, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. You got to practice that, though. That's it doesn't just come. We live in a very negative society and world. And that, but there's also all this good. And again, whatever, like Tony Robbins says, where our focus goes, energy goes, essentially, that energy grows. That if we want to choose to look at things in a negative, bad light, we're going to get things in a negative, bad light. We're going to feel like shit. We're going to feel bad. We're going to find problems. We're going to go on social media and look for things that offend us and piss us off because that's the story we're telling ourselves. That's the mindset we have. Who cares how it started? Blame it on whoever you want, but that's what we live in. We're all dealing with that.
Yeah.
It's so you have to practice it. And it's like I said, it goes to letting go of the ego and treating people good will get you started. That's a good starting point for everybody, and you'll start feeling better. And rather than look at people and get upset that somebody's doing good or being upset that somebody was born into money, fuck, we all wish we were born into money.
Did I say that all the time? Yeah. Like people hate on rich kids. I'm like, fuck, I wish I was one. If my dad would have gave me freaking cash and helped me up, I still would have built a business.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair to say, oh, well, your daddy handed it to you. Dude, so fucking what? I wish my daddy handed it to me.
100%.
If anybody listening is really, really wealthy and you want to come give me like a couple $100 million, dude, I'm not going to be embarrassed. You can put it all over social media that Brad Lee was giving his money. Good. I'll go from freaking working for it to having it, and you can make fun of me all you want.
Yeah. Those people have their own set of problems. We're all dealing with it. It comes down again mindset though. At the end of the day, and that's the one thing people how, and it's just you got to start somewhere, and that's the way. Just do good, man.
Yeah, and flip your perspective, man. Like you're gonna be pissed that you have no shoes. Try the dude with no legs. Yep. Like then you get the guy with no legs. He's all pissed off. He has no legs. Shit, I know someone with no hands, no arms, no legs.
Yep.
And then someone that died. Like, dude, you're alive. Even though, you don't have all your limbs, you're alive. You can go out and enjoy, help people. And by the way, that's when success kind of started coming for me, is when I started helping people.
Yeah.
Till I was about 30, dude, I wasn't consciously greedy, meaning, in other words, I didn't not look to help people, but I was worried about myself. Like, how can I get paid? How can I get rich? How can I make money? And it didn't matter. If I would have met you back at 30 years old, I would have been cool, but I'm not thinking, how can I help this guy somehow? And now when I look at people, it's like, how can I help this person? Well, hey, have me on my podcast. I got a book coming out. I'm like, sure. Again, as long as you help the bomb squad.
Yeah.
But my point is people don't understand the whole give and look to help, because it sounds cliche.
Yeah.
When I heard it before, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I need to get paid. But
a lot of people don't believe it. They think it's bullshit.
And when I started helping on accident, dude, that's when the success came. I have also, I didn't read The Secret. I watched the movie.
Yep, same here.
What's the main things that book or that movie teaches you?
It's positivity. I think for me, the biggest thing I got out of it, it made me very self-aware of how negative I was. I stopped watching the news. I tell people that book, because I'll hear some people talk about it, where the book doesn't talk about hard work and action. That's the one disconnect for a lot of people that do frown upon the book. I always had that. That to me, like my dad was bartender his whole life and hardworking, blue collar guy. He was a great athlete. I got a lot of great attributes from him. My mom was a little bit more of a dreamer, and like I got both those mindsets where I just understood that the envisioning part comes hard work, and a lot of people don't get that from the book, and they just think, oh, if I think of $1 million, I'm gonna, and it doesn't show up, it's fake, and it's not about that. It's about a positive mindset, and again, following it with hard work. And that for me is what it was. The mindset part is what I really got out of that.
Dude, I believe in the laws of attraction, even if you don't work.
Yeah. No, it's energy is real. Energy's that book, the Energy Codes by Sue Morter. True story on this, Brad. I go to my P.O. box to go get some fan mail one day, and people have sent me books before, and I read all the time. I do audiobooks all the time, constantly trying to learn. I look at this book, and I've gotten some shit ones, and I'm not going to read it if it's not something I'm interested in. And I look at the back of it, and it's everybody in The Secret giving the reviews. I go, okay. I read this book, and this was just a few months ago, completely transformed me on, I'd realized I had very negative person around me at the time I'd known for like 15 years, and I wasn't even conscious of it, and the negative conversations that were taking place, and gotten really comfortable. Not a bad person by any means, but very negative, pessimistic mindset.
Yeah.
And I'd realized, and again, social media, that I was very positive 80% of the time, but I thought because I was so positive, it was okay being negative sometimes. And it wasn't, because those negative times were adding up more and more. And I'm positive on everything. I could do this. I could talk about this. And I found myself complaining more, because that person would call me and complain, and then I would tell them a problem. So that book woke me up on a whole other level of the conversations we have and the people we have. And I always preach this to people, and who you surround yourself with. I've always been very careful of that. But I'd let the wrong person too close over the last few years, and it really was weighing me down. And that book just kind of taught me, just as far as be very careful of who you give your energy to. It's the most precious thing we have, because it's very real. And letting that person go in a very nice way, and opening myself up to more good, viewing social media as a good, and just focusing on the positives. And then more, that stem cell place from Colombia, which I'm going to Saturday, reached out to me, giving me $35,000 worth of treatment for free, which I'm going to be allowed to go back to wrestling probably early 2020, back to TV and do everything I'm doing.
Yeah, but they're also smart, because, dude, when you heal somebody,
yeah,
they
smart.
go tell 1 million people, and you got 1 million followers.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're going to make a lot of money by doing that for you.
Absolutely. And we talked about it. I talked with the guy that's running it, and I know exactly what they're doing, but I'm beyond grateful they chose me, because they chose about 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, I've been blessed as far as injuries and health, only because I've never been extreme.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that adrenaline rush. Mm-hmm. My buddy was a bodybuilder growing up.
Yeah.
And, he got all the girls because he had the kick-ass body. Yep. And I was decent, but I was not a bodybuilder. Yeah. I was just kind of, lean. Well, now he's he's my age, but, he's all broke down, dude.
A lot of them
talking about, I've got fibromyalgia. I'm like, I thought that was for girls. He's like, no, guys can get it. And I'm like, dude, you got fibromyalgia? I'm like, come on, let's go do this. He's like, dude, my knee, it's a double replacement. And I'm thinking, see, beating the shit out of your body all that time is now costing him.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, shit, because I felt bad for not beating the shit out of my body the whole time. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
I feel like a freaking champ.
Yeah.
So luckily, I don't need stem cells for pain and yet anyway. But what I want is anti-aging, dude. I want to freaking stop aging. Now, there's research out there. Do you know of any good anti-aging shit?
I know Joe Rogan had somebody on. He's had some really cool doctors on. I'm trying to think of the supplement. I'm not gonna get it off the top of my head. It was.
See, now you won't, because you just said that.
That's very true. And
every time I forget something, powerful. I'll say it'll come to me, and within I remember what I was gonna say.
That's very powerful. It will come to me. That's like someone at DDP, this another wrestler with the yoga program. It was, don't say I can't, just say I can't right now. He said that's his adjustment on it, to kind of put a different touch on it. But it's.
Well, what about this?
NAC or so, it's not NAC.
You hear people saying, I'm tired of being broke.
Yeah.
Okay, so what'd you just tell yourself? You're tired of being broke. So you think you're saying it like, man, I want to get rich, but it's like, I'm tired of being broke. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the universe makes you tired of being broke.
Yeah.
And so you're saying, I'm tired of being broke. So that's what you are, tired of being broke. I want to get rich. Well, you want to get rich, that's what
your
you'll
story,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to get rich.
That feeling of wanting will last forever.
And then 5 years later, how's it going? Shit, dude. I'm tired of being broke. And it's like, dude, you're keeping yourself down with your own mental. And people think it's bullshit, dude. And I'm telling you, I've attracted shit straight up. My wives, like I've had a couple of wives. The first one, I attracted her.
Yep.
And then I didn't like order her perfectly in my attraction. So I'm like, son of a bitch, I need a different one. So then the next one, I said, I want this. And that's exactly what I have.
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy.
Secret talks about that actually, and there's a very similar story in that with like the guy drawing his perfect woman and whatnot. But
have you read Think and Grow Rich?
I have Napoleon Hill. That one helped me a
Secret,
lot.
Think and Grow Rich, very similar books.
Yeah.
If I got a son, about 25 now. He's in here talking about Jeff Bezos read Think and Grow Rich 5 times. I'm on my second go through, and I'm thinking smart. He's got this whole business plan. I mean, dude, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret. Anybody that hasn't at least taken a look at it is stupid. Number 2, anyone that does take a look at it and basically says this is bullshit, well then you instantly are correct.
Yeah, it'll be bullshit to you.
Yeah.
You know what you stack that with? Another book I read during early in WWE, and this was my introduction to Grant Cardone, was 10X.
Oh, yeah.
That stack those books with that, and then realize when you apply yourself, and even for me, I found when I left WWE, and again, health became number one. There's been a lot to get into.
Well, health's the number one thing.
Because you can't do anything else without health. So I've been balancing doing rehab, and I got myself into a lot, but I've survived it morning to night, and I just treat it. I get up early and get to bed at a good time and get my sleep and go. I don't nap. I don't do anything. I go morning to night. But I found for me, and just slowly keep applying myself more and more and more to my projects I'm in. It's like my podcast. I was doing it for pure fun initially, and it was just fun. My supplement line was the number one thing, and then I realized I'm putting all this time into this. I need to make this a lot better. I need to 10X it, and you need to put whatever it is that you're doing. You got to give it your focus, and that's not always easy in this day and age with stuff. I think focus is in the people who have the ability to focus the best are going to be the most successful. And I think it's even more true now than it was with social media and the distractions with technology that it can be and whatnot. But applying the work ethic to the mindset, and you got a home run every time.
Work ethic and a team, man.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm trying to build a team. Because, dude, without a team, you ain't going far.
No.
Like, obviously this isn't $1 billion company yet, but I need a team to get there.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get there alone. You're not going to get there with freaking an average team. It's who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It's your work ethic. I mean, sometimes I'll get home 7 or 8 at night, which to me is like, shit, that's late. I should have been home at 4. I've already made money. Like, if I stopped working right now, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I like what I do. I think I owe the world to keep working because, again, I get knowledge from people who have it to the people who need it. If I stop working, dude, there's going to be a lot of hurt people.
Negativity wins. Gary always says there needs to be more people doing positive things, and it's a responsibility I think that you got to take and set an example.
Next time you talk to your boy Gary V, tell him, dude, you got to get on this podcast.
I'm sure he would love, man. I'm trying to get him on mine. That's too. I think he's very open to that stuff.
Well, shit, dude. I'll have him on. Obviously, I don't do web. You have to be here. Yeah. I've had some pretty big people say, "Well, I'll do it, but like online," and I'm like, "Can't do it online, bro.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Got to be here."
Yeah, I agree.
But Gary V, I'd even do it online for him because, dude, he is a workaholic. He's busy. But if he comes to Vegas and has a spare hour, shit, dude, swing by. The only thing I'd argue with Gary on is one thing.
What's that?
Patience.
Yeah.
Like, fuck patience. You don't need patience.
What does he just?
He says patience. He says patience. But but see, that's why I want him to be on my podcast because I don't think he means have patience. I think what he's really meaning is understand things take time.
Yeah.
Which is I agree with. But he says have patience because most people believe that patience means understand that things take time. That's not what patience means. Yeah. You know what patience means?
What's the definition of it?
I'll just let Siri tell us. Hold on. What's the definition of patience?
That may be beyond my abilities at the moment.
What's the definition of patience?
The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset.
Now, who the hell wants to do that?
You got a great point on that, Brad.
Dude, that's what patience means. That's what patience means right there. I don't want that. Thank you. And not only that, dude, when I was 2 years old, apparently I was getting underneath the counter and I drank turpentine. So basically I died. My dad comes home, finds his little boy on the frickin' floor, blue. I don't know how long I've been dead because I heard the story, obviously, so I was there, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm dead on the floor, scoops me up, rushes me to the hospital, walks in. Nurse looks at this dude holding the dead baby, screaming, of course, I need help, I need help. She's making the assumption that kid's dead. Tells my dad, sit down, relax, have some patience. I'll go find a doctor. My dad says, fuck you, kicks in the door, emergency room door. He's screaming. Doctors come over. Clearly, I wasn't dead, or they brought me back to life. But at the end of the day, if he would have freaking had patience, if he would have believed in patience, but that's an extreme circumstance. Any other one, he might have had patience, and I might have died.
Absolutely.
That's number one. So I would be dead if my dad had patience. Okay, accept trouble without getting upset. No. I don't want that. And then my wife, my first wife, dropped my son on his head out of a car seat on accident, of course, but dropped his head about 4 feet up, landed on his head, didn't cry, didn't bleed. Now, what would you do? You'd think, oh, thank God he didn't get hurt. But my wife was a paranoid freak. So she runs down to the emergency room, and I'm telling you, dude, the exact same shit happened. She runs in, nurse is sitting there. She's like, excuse me, do you see all these other children? Excuse me, do you see these other children? And there's kids and they're crying and actually hurt where there's blood. And your baby's fine. It's not crying. There's no blood. Have patience. There's other people. My wife, boom, right through the emergency room doors, screw the nurse or whoever that intake person is, started screaming right in the emergency room. Doctors came over. Number one, she looked good. But number two, screaming lady in the emergency room, you got to handle it. Doctors came over, grabbed the baby, put it in a CAT scan, and he was prepped and in brain surgery within 30 minutes. They said if she would have sat down for 5 more minutes, he'd either be dead or brain damage for sure. So again, there's remarkably two times where patience would have killed me and it would have killed my son.
Absolutely.
So, dude, patience is bullshit. And Gary always says, have patience, have patience. And I know what he's trying to say, but dude, he doesn't. Do not have patience, folks. Raise your intensity.
Yeah.
Like you want something bad enough, raise your intensity, raise your level of action. Don't have patience, because patience is a crutch too. Like if I was telling you,
I think I got it. That's a bomb.
There you go. That's right. Hey, that's the first guest bomb ever.
I had to get one in. I like that because there's no argument for that with patience.
Well, that's why I want Gary here, because he's famous for patience. And I want to say
things take time. I like that phrase.
Yeah, and I just want to debate that fact because Gary's pretty convincing too. I'd like to hear his opinion, because normally, like when people say, "Why do you cuss, Gary?" He's got good answers. Yeah. Like he's comfortable and confident, and a lot of his advice, 99.9, I love it, except that.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear his answer right here, right now. I'd love to hear his answer to what I just said.
I would too. I think you bring up a great point too, though, and. I just did an interview with this guy, Chris Van Vliet, and for his YouTube show. And the one thing that seemed to resonate with people, I just said, just be yourself. People are going to love and hate you regardless. Be loved for who you truly are. That's something too. I just be myself on everything. I'm an entertainer. I'm sarcastic. I'm funny. And I also have this other business sense, and I'm very genuine. And but I put it all out there. I don't hold back on anything. And it gets you people that truly do like you for you. Yeah. I think that's really important too, and I think that's what people like about Gary, is that he's just himself.
Yeah,
I think that's the big draw to Gary. And
authenticity,
and cussing is cussing. And again, your environment. That was something in WWE. Vince says, know your audience. If I go to a nice dinner with a group of people and I know it's not appropriate, I'm not gonna be dropping F-bombs left and right. You know what I mean? And that's know your setting also. And whatnot. But if you're in the comfort of your home or your audience and social media, just be yourself.
Yeah, it's etiquette.
Yeah.
Like I've had people say, Brad, why do you cuss on your stuff? And I'm like, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not like, you know what? I'm going to use the word fuck.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're offended by that word, you probably shouldn't hang around me anyway. I mean, because, dude, why would you be offended over a word?
Yeah.
Like, it's a word. We made that shit up. Like I just said, shit. We made that feces up. They wouldn't be offended if I said feces, but they're offended that I chose an easier word.
Yeah.
Stupid.
What's mindset too? There again, and we're all going to see things we don't like or don't agree with and whatnot. But the moment you choose to stop in and put your energy into that, your mindset's already wrong.
Yeah.
Just move on. And that's why I tell people there's no need for the bullshit and the hate on social media. I see things all the time within the fitness industry and the health and fitness. I'm anti-steroids. I don't believe in them. I did them very early in wrestling because I saw my hero talk about them.
I did them once, can't you tell?
I did them from true story on this. I was Gold's Gym. I'd done with baseball in college. And my hero walked in, Triple H, with a guy, Kevin Nash, who's going to Columbia with me for the stem cells, actually. They were here for the Mr. Olympia bodybuilding show in Vegas. And I'm at the front desk, and they called ahead, and I knew they were coming in. I'm the biggest wrestling fan at this point, but I don't let them know. I let them go work out for free. Afterwards, they're at the juice bar talking about steroids. And right then and there, I think I was 19, almost 20. Right then and there, I was anti everything back then, and that's what I need to do to make it. And I loved Arnold as a kid. Biggest mistake I made with Arnold is I equated his success to steroid use, which is why a lot of people in the fitness industry justify doing it. Well, Arnold was successful. He was successful because of his mindset. And it was a different period back then. It helped him in bodybuilding, yes, but everything else didn't help him and all that. And he wasn't doing anything past that, probably outside of medicinal and whatnot. But I justified it when I was that age, and I did it for 4 years, off and on, very mildly. But then finally, when the wellness program came in with WWE, I stopped everything, and I was able to. I never did a lot, so I was always able to keep my physique. But that stuff, I don't like that stuff, and I hate seeing that with social media. People are making money promoting things in a not real way.
In other words, nutritional products that aren't really making them look like that.
Yeah, it's
because there's some people that are pitching their nutritional
everybody
shit.
is, Brad.
You know they're fucking on steroids.
I can't even tell you, and I'm not going to say every single one, but there's.
Well, how can you tell? Because here's what I usually do: when you look unbelievable, you're on steroids.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing too. And there's a guy like Michael Hearn is a guy. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah.
He's 50 years old and he looks absolutely amazing, and he's gotten it his whole life. And that's a guy. I've been in shape. I know my genetics and how hard I work, but that's so the first thing you want to think, I think, as a human, when you see somebody that looks better than you, it's just we all do it. Oh, they're on steroids or they're taking something.
No, I mean, I see people that are buff and they're in great shape, but steroids is that you're all. I'm not saying nobody has perfect genetics, but most of the people that have an 8-pack, and the vascularity and just freaking everything's just straight up, dude. 9 times out of 10. Those are steroids.
Yeah, but that's
normal.
the mindset. Yeah, and you could tell usually. But the thing, so what I'm trying to do is, for me, because I've realized it's not going to help me. I can only promote my brand, what I'm doing, and put out my message. I don't want a kid to do steroids because he thinks I did steroids to be successful and whatnot. I don't want it because I know what happened to me in having to be on TRT after doing it for 4 years. At 28, I had to go on TRT because my body wouldn't make enough testosterone. And for people selling andro products when I was a kid, promoting them as healthy supplements. So I'm just completely against it. But I'm trying not to be judgmental at the same time too. And it just goes back to when you see stuff you don't like. For me, I hate when I see that stuff. When I see former pro bodybuilders promoting their supplement line, I hate it. But I don't spend any time. I don't leave comments on it. I don't do it because it's not going to help me and whatnot. But I have to focus on that. But
well, what you did is you went and made a better version.
Yeah, with Feed Me More Nutrition, and it's been a work.
Well, that's how you do it, though. See, like if you're upset about the way something is, don't bitch about it. Don't shit on someone else's product. Just go make your own.
Yeah.
Like just be better, and that's what you did with Feed Me More.
Yeah, no, it was back when I was young, in my 20s with WWE. So most supplements, what people don't realize either, is artificial sweeteners. Artificial colors too, but the artificial sweeteners, aspartame and sucralose, are the two big ones. There's a lot of research on this stuff, and I personally went through. That was what my passion for this came from. I was taking all these supplements. I was like 27 at the time, and my vision started getting blurry. Brad, I'll never forget it. I was at Calta's gym in Tampa, Florida, on the elliptical machine, and my vision just was completely blurry. I go, what the hell's going on? I always had 20/20 vision. I'd always get light, like if I would get up out of this chair, I'd get a blackout, like a light blackout. I would never faint, but I would get it would go black for a second. And then I'd wake up feeling like a zombie, just dead tired no matter how much I slept. Didn't want to get out of bed. I'd always hit the snooze, and it was getting worse and worse. And I start looking up these symptoms online, and aspartame and sucralose start popping up on everything. And I realize, I look at these protein shakes I'm drinking throughout the day, 3, 4, 5 of these pre-made drinks, the diet sodas I'm drinking, my protein powders, the protein bars, everything at that time, aspartame and sucralose. I was consuming so much of it, it was giving me these side effects. Now, if you have a Diet Coke here and there, is it the end of the world? Probably not at the end. But the problem is, a lot of people in the health industry, they think they're being healthy and they consume this stuff all day long, and there's real problems that come from it. So I started making my own supplements. That was being drug tested with WWE. I've always, in not using steroids for all my success, I became very reliant on my supplements, and they go hand in hand with proper diet and the work ethic. I'm in the gym at least 3-4 hours every day to this day, even injured.
Shit.
Yeah, it's my life. I've been doing it since I was 12. That's why
What gym do you go to?
I have my own gym at my house I built. Got dumbbells to 150, machines, squat rack, platform, all the deal. And then I got LVAC I'll go to just when I want to get out and do some machines and be seen or something, be a little more social and whatnot. But I've always, it was a passion at a very young age. I developed a work ethic. That, to me, why these injuries were so hard for me, having to shut off that competitive gene as well, and stopping my boxing and Muay Thai and wrestling. I had to stop everything. And it was mentally, and apply myself, keep myself busy with my business stuff and with Feed Me More Nutrition and the podcast and whatnot. But these supplements actually helped make me who I am. I always invested in myself as a wrestler, because at the end of the day, pro wrestling, and this is what's missing a lot today, it's all about believability. It's when people see me in the ring, and it's the intensity and the anger, and I look like I could kill anybody. You need that to draw to the casual audience in the world. So for me, always investing in my body was the number one thing I could do, outside of applying myself at my skill and my trade on that, being the total package. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, larger than life personas that look like they can kick your ass. Now, whether they can or can't doesn't matter. They look like they can. And that's the art, one of the things of being a pro wrestler that's really missing today, in my opinion. And it's a balance. And there are some guys, but for me, supplements were something that added value to my life, that helped me look the way that I look. Diet and working out are the two biggest things. Supplements are number 3.
Out of those two, which one's number 1?
Diet.
Workout.
I think with a diet, you can still look good. Now, health-wise, and it's diet, again, it's going to come down to diet. Even, there's all different forms of dieting. I think health and fitness, though, they need to go hand in hand. And that's what I'm trying to do with this, because a lot of the industry, it's about how you look in the fitness, and these supplements that people aren't using to get in shape. Making $2 supplements, Brad, and selling them for $50, $60. I'm spending 3 to 5 times what all these other companies are on different formulas and charging the same price to be competitive. And my margins are much smaller, but I feel good knowing I'm doing business because I'm very passionate about it, because it's helped me so much in my life. Whereas these people, and again, not judging, everyone needs to make a living and do a thing, but the entire supplement industry was created during Arnold's era with Joe Weider, all about fraud. Selling these protein powders and BCAAs and different random supplements. The guys were taking steroids. And it's one of the biggest lies. And a lot of people that are in it know what it is, but a lot of casual people buy into it. And you're taking these things like I was and thinking you're doing something healthy for yourself, but you're really poisoning yourself. So my thing was, I fucking hate this stuff. This is bullshit. And I went and started my own company. And I ideally wanted to do it while I was with WWE in the prime of my career, but I had to leave and do it, and it started from square one. Year over year, we've grown, and this year's going to be bigger than last year and then bigger than the first year. But facing adversity with that from the supplement industry, because nobody else is doing this, because it's a lot more expensive to do sweetening with natural sweeteners.
What do you use, like guava?
Stevia and monk fruit
Yeah.
are the two, but it's even harder to get great tasting because artificial sweeteners taste awesome. Everybody loves them. So that's the thing. People take supplements they want. You got athletes who don't care what things taste like all the time. And then you got regular people that they want something to taste good.
Yeah.
So that's been the challenge. We've really, really nailed it here lately of getting great tasting formulas. But actually I use more ingredients than any other company, because I realize with supplements, for them to actually work, I had to mix and match, and through experimentation and finding what herbs went really well together. And I started with 3 supplements, and we're releasing our brain feed formula will be number 8 here in the next 2 months. And it's just grown very slowly and just keeps getting bigger. But like the distribution and things, I've faced adversity with Europa, the biggest distributor. If I can make that deal happen, I'm rolling. Now I'm in every brick and mortar. There's no competition for me. They don't want to adjust their price margins to what they're paying for the cheaper supplements because nobody gives a shit about anybody's health. It's all about money, which I get, business, but it's like healthcare. I feel like there's a good way to make money and a bad way in business. I'm trying to do it the right way where I feel good and give, and actually something that I feel will contribute, where a lot of the industry is not like that. But that's not my problem. I just keep putting my message out. And I think when people talk to me and hear the passion and see that I'm not like these other people, they buy into it. So it's just one day at a time, just hustling morning to night. Like I said, I'm talking to you in there, leaving comments on people's page, responding to people with questions and answering when I don't have time to do it, but fucking doing it. And I have to deal with wrestling fans that want to keep sending me messages even after they get their question answered, which is a whole other thing. A lot of people don't want to deal with that shit. Let the ego go. That doesn't matter. This is about business and about helping people. And it's just one person at a time and word of mouth. I'm reading a book right now, Contagious. Word of mouth is so powerful, and that's what I'm doing now. And it's finally starting to happen. And it's the comments and talking to people, opening myself up, which has allowed that. So
transparency, authenticity. People like that shit. Didn't you write a book too?
Yeah, Wake Up, It's Feeding Time, a motivational book that for me was a way it was for wrestling fans. I didn't want to write my wrestling book yet because I don't like the way everything ended. I'm not thrilled that I said fuck you to WWE and walked out. I had to. It saved my career. Best decision I ever made. Ideally, I left a lot of friends behind and people on that, and it was really, really tough, but I had to do it. And this was a way I wanted to. There's a lot of negativity in the world, but in pro wrestling, and I've experienced this when I left, and I'll talk about that briefly, but I wanted to write an introduction book for wrestling fans to get them on the right path, to lead them to other books from these car rides. And that's one of the things in WWE, Brad. I stopped traveling with guys early on because I realized every drive is 3 to 5 hours on the road every night, sometimes 6.
Damn.
Where you go all day, you're performing adrenaline. I realized I have the power. I always loved reading, but I wasn't finding time to read because I'm constantly going. Audiobooks, Audible, every night go through a different book on the road. I started learning about the stock market, investing. When WWE was playing with my money, then I started learning. El Pollo Loco paid for my pool 5 years ago, because just learning.
Why?
The what?
Why?
With investing?
Oh, you mean you invested in El
Yeah,
Pollo
at the
Loco?
time, and when they were doing well and was able to make enough, and they paid for my pool because WWE was altering my money around, and just took the power and put it in my own hands and educating myself and whatnot. But I wanted to get an introduction to people on things that have helped me. I'm not the smartest. I tell people I'm smart for a dumb guy. Like that's, I got smarter than I ever should have, and just applying myself. And just wanted to give people an introduction into this other world of mindset and lead them to other books. And the book's about a bunch of different things.
What's your favorite book ever read? Would you say The Secret?
Yeah, no, I did a top 3 for my show on that, and The Secret was there, and The Energy Codes, that one I just read, was probably by Sue Morter, is right there. And I say that because she, being where I am and having success, I realized there was still, again, letting go of the ego. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know anything, and that book put me at a different level at a very good time in my life.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I'm going to go get it. The Energy Code.
By Dr. Sue Morter, and just an amazing woman. And I was lucky enough to get her on the show, and just talking about energy. It's a very real thing.
Well, you heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yes.
Becoming Supernatural?
I don't know if I've read that one yet.
Yeah. I just got 3 of his books.
Really?
Everyone's telling me it's incredible.
Yeah.
You know what's funny too is hey, how'd you get successful? Well, I started reading books and applying what I've learned. And, you know, you'll talk to all these successful people. They all say the same shit.
Same
like,
thing.
folks, are you guys paying attention? Like, the answers are right in front of your face, but it's the mindset that holds most people back. Oh, that's bullshit. Oh, it's easy for Ryback to say, look at him. That's why he's successful, because he freaking looks like a damn freaking movie star with the action hero shit.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? That ain't why.
No.
Because I know
Taking the whole life.
Well, I know not only that, but I know big buff some bitches that are broke because their mindset's broke.
Yep.
Their mindset's broke.
You gotta let go of your ego, and like again, and you gotta reach out. You gotta put yourself on the line, and it all comes down to being, again, social media. We have it so easy now. You don't even have to go up into anybody in person anymore.
No.
Technically, you could break the ice through social media, but a lot of people are still scared. And Gary even said this. He said it's the same thing. You want people to like you in real life. You're nice to them. You talk to them. You interact with them. That's what fucking social media is.
Yeah.
It just makes it way easier. You got to put yourself out there and you go make other people feel good, encourage people, motivate people, because what's going to happen is it's going to come back to you. You're going to start feeling better. You're going to start getting opportunities. You know, Jim told me, I met Jim, reached out to him to do the intro for my show, started applying myself more. I need an intro. I can't be doing this Bush League shit anymore. I need to up everything.
He's got a great intro.
Yeah, I collaborate with him, turns me on to you, start following you. Oh, I like this guy. I agree with this guy. Oh, I agree with this guy all the time on everything, saying, opportunity to come on your show. Absolutely, I'd love to come on your show, message you. There you go. That might lead to something else, but it's just
guaranteed
again,
it will.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
But you just gotta take, man, and don't be afraid of, I don't give a fuck anymore. People tell me, no, I know who and what I am. I know I'm a genuine good person. I know I work hard. But you got to put yourself, you got to let the ego, and that was for me. I've always been very genuine. I've always got people telling me from day one I'm down to earth. But in wrestling, I feel like, too, to make it at a top level, you got to have a little bit of an ego.
Yeah.
You got to have confidence.
Part of the show.
Yeah. For life in general, you have to be able to let your ego go for life. It's like one of my goals when I get healthy here to restart my jiu-jitsu is to get the blue belt and work my way to a black belt eventually. I go into a jiu-jitsu school. They see Ryback walk in. I have to let my ego go. And because that black belt instructor that's from Brazil, who's just a fucking badass, doesn't want me rolling around with the blue belts or the purple belts or the other white belts. He wants to make Ryback tap out. Well, I'm competitive, fucking let's go. Now, if my ego gets in the way, no, I'm Ryback. I can't put myself in that position. I'm never going to learn. You got to put yourself out there, let the ego go. And this is just one example. And you go in there and he might make me tap out, but the next time I go in there and the next time I go in there, then I'm rolling with blue belts and purple belts and I'm making them tap out as a white belt still. And I'm learning, I'm picking up what this guy's doing with me. And then in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, when I'm finally a black belt, it's because I put myself out there and let my ego go and just decided to start learning. I think if we could take that approach to everything and just look at life as one big learning experience and just make life a lot easier.
Unbelievable, folks. You better pay attention to that one. Too many people complaining, man, when they should be freaking excited. Like I said, I think the best thing that came out of this episode right here, I mean, there's many, but the one thing that I love the most is that I re-recognize, because sometimes everyone forgets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you forget the basics. You forget to be positive. You forget to be grateful. But I started to forget that, man, hard time. It's been a while since I've had hard times. And again, I don't ever think I had hard times, but compared to what normal people are saying hard times, I've been broke, dude, a million times. But it's been a while, thankfully. And I think I started to forget that those hard times people are going through, man, how do you help them with those? Because when I was going through hard times, it's like, dude, fuck your advice. Give me some money.
Yeah.
Like,
Same.
fuck your advice. Pay my rent.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, guess what? Looking back, that is what helped me succeed, is the hard times, is the hungry times. Yeah. If someone would have given me money, if someone would have freaking handed me something, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have, I'm saying it could have affected how I turned out, the mindset that I would have had. I got tough, I got diligent, I got freaking, perseverance and determination. Like, it was molded in those tough times. Yeah. And so, and it served me. So if you guys are listening out there and you're having tough times, rough times, almost be thankful that you're being tapped, because I think you're being tested. I think you're being molded into what you've actually wanted or thought you've wanted, and now you're wondering why you're being shit on, dude, be grateful that you're being shit on, because guess what? That's what's going to make you great. At least that's what everyone says.
And this is in that book, The Energy Codes. This was my favorite part from the book, and you just reminded me of it. And this has drastically helped me. Adversity will allow for success. It gives us opportunities for success and to overcome it. But when we look at everything with the mindset of everything happens in our life for our favor and betterment, if we could take that approach, and I've been doing that on everything. My dog, Sophie, has gone through back. She has disc disease at 3.5 years old. She's had 6 surgeries, ruptured disc. And unfortunately, it's not going to go away. And I was looking into stem cells. It doesn't exist yet for dogs. There's no research on it. But there is another procedure I found that we can. I'm going to end up driving her to Dallas when I get back because she's lived a very conservative life. For 19 months, I haven't traveled, essentially, because I love this dog more than anything. And I chose, though, to look at that and that this situation, it helped me greatly with everything going on. Everything I'm going through right now is no different than the early points of my life with the adversity. It's all happening for my favor and betterment. As soon as I accepted that in my career in WWE, the moments that everyone thought I should have won the championship, it all happened for a reason. And to get me right here, all for my favor and betterment. And that has allowed me to accept things and to move past them and grow from them. So I think that's another thing that can really help people. Everything happens for our favor and betterment. Mindset.
See, folks. Listen, if you guys aren't following him, go on Instagram. It's the big guy Ryback 22, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. It was, I dig everything that you're doing.
Dude, if you're local, I'm going to bring you back.
Oh, I would love, man. I'm a real chatty Cathy, as they say.
Well, good, dude. We haven't even tapped into freaking a fraction of what you know and what you've learned. And dude, that's all we want to do is bullshit and tell stories and see if it helps other people. So if you guys ain't following him, go to @thebigGuyRyback22 on Instagram. Google him, obviously, Ryback Reeves. Go to feedmemore.com, and that's where his nutrition line is. If you guys are into working out, fitness, things like that, go check out his nutrition line. It's all high-quality shit. Everyone says it, but his is actually real. Pick up some quality nutrition and just test it out. You help my man Ryback, but more, you might find out that your workouts and your supplements are some of those ones that are just bullshit. Now there's CBD coming out, and yes. I was talking to a CBD guy the other day, and that's supposed to do some miraculous shit for people. And I'm like, so it's exploding. And he goes, yeah, but unfortunately it's not really, as regular. There's CBD gummies being sold. Yeah. Apparently they don't have any CBD in them. They just slap CBD on the label, and no one's pointing them out.
I invest in a company, Aurora Cannabis out of Canada, who they're actually through Australis. They're building here in North Vegas up near me, near Aliante, I believe, up in that area. They're the number one company of everything they're doing. They just partnered with UFC, and they're doing CBD studies with the UFC at the Institute here, actually. Yeah. And they're doing it the right way, and they're gonna do it the right way. They're gonna kill it.
It's just much more expensive. Yeah. So you got these jackoffs out there making freaking CBD gummies that don't even have it.
It's like supplements, and that's people doing it and not putting in what they're supposed to. And it's like I get everything third party tested. It's more expensive, but at the end of the day, you have peace of mind knowing you're getting what you get.
Yeah, and so Feed Me More Nutrition is all dialed in.
Yeah, and we're available on Amazon, multiple sellers, and feedmemore.com is my personal website for that as well. And Conversation with the Big Guy Ryback, available everywhere.
Yeah, dude, go subscribe to his podcast. Unfortunately, like an asshole, I haven't heard it yet, but it sounds good.
We got a lot of great guests. I just had Dr. Berg, this keto doctor, intermittent fasting doctor on. I got people from health and fitness, wrestling.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Health related.
I do. It's a lot like Joe Rogan. I just do things that interest me, that I learn from, and then my listeners learn from. And then I got the wrestling report every week, like Joe does with the UFC. I have for pro wrestling because that's my bread and butter and my audience. And then I give these people access to these great minds that are so much smarter than me that I can learn from and get them kind of. A lot of wrestling fans have a lot of health issues and people, and a lot of people. I shouldn't just say wrestling fans, but I've personally have seen it being out around the world. And giving them access to these great minds.
Well, not only that, but it's health related. And that's more important than money, finances. I mean, people always ask me, like, what would you, dude, health is the top.
Tony Robbins said that my number one life value is health. Because nothing else means anything without it.
Go ask Steve Jobs. Like, dude, that guy had all the money in the world at that time. I bet you he would have given me all of it if I could go save his ass. Yep. For even another 6 months, I bet you he would have gave me all of it. Like, give me all your money, all your accumulations, all your worldly possessions, and you can live. People will be like, there.
Yep.
And it's crazy, dude, because people disregard their health and frickin' eat shit and don't work out, and they're dying inside and they don't even know it.
One thing, too, I want to say, I just had this done yesterday. I got my results. I had Dr. Thomas O'Connor. He's called the anabolic doc. He actually works with a lot of bodybuilders. He's against steroid use because it's so bad for you. And the research shows it. And anyone that says it's not.
What about TRT, though?
No, that's a completely different. That's healthy. And I'm a big advocate of that because that enhances.
I'm 50 now, bro.
Yeah.
I want... And by the way, I did steroids before. So, I mean, I did test well, actually, one time I did test Winstrol V and Deca. This was a long time ago.
It's more than anything I've ever.
Yeah, and so, well, again, I told you my buddy was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So he was all huge. And of course, he was doing it all the time. But he talked me into doing little tests, little Deca, little Winstrol V.
Winstrol, yeah, Winnie, yeah.
And so, dude, I got freaking ripped when I was young, but then I just stopped. I didn't know I needed freaking,
post-cycle therapy or to get,
shit. Yeah, I just stopped.
Your test levels will sink.
Yeah, and then
come back a lot.
And then, shit, I don't remember, like maybe 7 years ago, I got in freaking kick-ass shape. I was doing HGH and test, but I was doing it more therapy therapy levels. Like, I think I was doing like a half cc a test a week, or maybe even a cc. I don't know. Is that a lot?
Yeah, usually what you'll do is anywhere the range and everyone absorbs it different, uses it, metabolizes it differently, but usually 1 cc, 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams is usually no more than that in TRT dosages. You'll be within the normal ranges.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and then I just and by the way, I did that for about 18 months nonstop.
Oh my God!
Bing, 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 bing.
You're not
bing,
supposed
bing,
to do that more than 3-4 months, probably.
I know. I didn't know any of that, so I'm just ding, 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 and then I just stop. So again, who knows? My T levels might be 0.
I promise you, I guarantee you, if you need to, that's something I advocate. I'm a big advocate for is I get blood work done multiple times a year.
I'm afraid to get blood work because they might tell me I'm dying.
No, that's the same thing. I was afraid to get MRIs. If I would have got MRIs with WWE, I would have known about my injuries and things I was doing. But again, it's all worked out good. If stem cells didn't exist, my career would have been over though. And I think sometimes though, letting fear control our emotions, we got to overcome that shit. And you gotta just go. You got to get your health checked because without it, we're nothing. Testosterone, total testosterone, free testosterone, your estrogen levels, your thyroid levels. Go get a complete panel done. Go to a board-certified endocrinologist. A lot of people, regular doctors, don't know. This is not, doctors are amazing, brilliant people, but there's a lot that aren't educated on the matter. Look up Dr. Thomas O'Connor.
Is he here?
He's in Florida, I believe. He has a practice.
You reckon anybody here?
My doctor I go through here, the stem cell doctors also does that as well. I would recommend. I can give you that info when we're done here. Dr. Baumgartel here through Nevada Spine Clinic has helped me tremendously with all that. But going and get your test levels. But I just went recently. I'm 37 now. I feel great outside of everything else. I've been very fortunate and blessed health-wise. But I did those very mildly from 20 to 24, and I went and got all my heart tests done. I was scared shitless, Brad, because that same thing. I go, I don't know do I want to go get this done? I've not done anything crazy. I'm very health conscious, but what if there's a heart problem? That's going to change everything.
Or frickin', you got prostate cancer.
Yeah,
bro.
You never know. So I went and I got all the heart tests done. I just faced it head on, just went in, passed. And then the big test I recommend, a lot of insurances won't cover it.
Coronary artery.
Calcium score.
That's
yes. Right. Coronary artery calcium score. I just got it done. It came back 0. Perfect score. No plaque or anything in my arteries.
That's awesome.
So which people know I'm not bullshitting them about the drugs, because if I was doing drugs, that would not have been 0.
Not only that, your supplements.
Yeah. Everything.
Shows that it's clean.
Yeah. And I always post my blood results. I show people my normal testosterone levels. You got to back it up this day and age.
Why do I got to go to an endocrinologist? There's a Quest Labs down the road.
Why or another good place even. There's different places. There's online places. This place called Titan Medical. I can give you their info. They do it over online as well, and they give you to do the consultation through the laptop, face to face. A lot of people go through that. I always like board certified endocrinologists just because they're usually.
Well, you mean to tell you the results? Because you can go anywhere and get the test.
Oh no, you can get the test. Yeah, if you can get the test done on your own, if you just want to know your total tests, free testosterone, estrogen ratios, that right there will tell you if you need to be on TRT.
And what's it? If I'm right now, let's assume, because again, when I was doing the test for 18 months, dude, The old Narns.
Yeah.
They did shrink, dude.
I got a funny story.
And someone told me they won't come back. Well, they did come back.
Yeah, they will.
They did come back. And again, I stopped cold turkey about no HCG, no nothing.
So you need to be on that all the time. That's something that in most you need to be, if you're doing TRT, you need to be taking HCG with it, human chorionic gonadotropin. And that is for your testicles. And it's just signals. It gives you the little LH pulse, which keeps your testicles full size and functioning properly.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors don't prescribe that. I've had to go in there and not be patient. And if I would have no balls if I just listened to a lot of these doctors, but educate myself and talk to people. I know this other doctor.
Well, nobody wants big, huge balls anyway, do they?
You want, it's a balance, Brad. I think with anything in life, balance is key.
Well, real quick, my question, because you're going to be taken off, and I want to make sure I get this answered. If I'm down on the T, let's say I'm 100 or 0, because supposedly I will be.
Yeah.
Age alone would have done it, let alone the starting.
Guys in their 20s are having it now.
Right. So if I'm here and feel as good as I feel, because dude, I feel good. I have energy. Are you drowned? All these symptoms you hear about. Are you this, you that? You might have low T. I got none of it. Like, still fucking libido. Sure. Everything's normal.
I didn't notice it either. I had it for 4 years and I felt fine.
Yeah. So if I feel this good low, what will I feel like if I start doing the TRT?
I think it just gives you more motivation. It gives you more drive.
Does it make you younger?
I think that's, as you age, let people age from their testosterone lowering, growth hormone lowering over time. We're all going to age eventually if we're lucky enough. You can't, Father Time is undefeated.
I'm sold. Folks, I'm going to go get my blood work. And if I'm low, give me that shit.
I got a product, actually. I'll send you here a few bottles. No joke. This is no bullshit. I created my testosterone booster. My low T was always in the hundreds, and I was able to get mine up to 400, back to low normal, actually, just above it, with my product called the Big Guy All Natural Testosterone Booster. I tell people, go get blood work before your test and after your test. The average scores raised 200 to 300 points on the total testosterone with it. No bullshit. So, and I tell people money back guarantee. If it doesn't work, there's some people with a medical issue that do need to be on TRT. My total test, when it get past that, I was at the low end. They advised I go on TRT. So,
well, I'm already going to hit up your site because some of the supplements I have definitely have aspartame and sucralose.
Cut that shit out.
I know this buff some bitch. I said, I was talking about the aspartame. I said, this shit that I got, there's some aspartame in it. He said, so? And I said, so I heard that gives you cancer. He goes, fuck, dude, everything gives you cancer. Quit being a pussy and just take some supplements.
People that too and do drugs and do steroids aren't looking at it. They don't give a shit anyways. And here's the thing on that. If we're lucky enough, we're all going to be old, and you're going to regret it one day, I promise.
Yeah.
I'd rather be 80, 90 years old. I don't want to be fucking crippled. I don't want to be done. I've had a glimpse into old age here. Getting out of bed, falling to my knees with my back, needing the 5-disc fusion of my shoulder, not being able to move it. At 34, I've went through all this. 35, it's not a fun life. And doing things and having to go through cancer and things, it happens. But if we can control our environment as much as possible, do it. There's a lot of people out there making money and they don't give a fuck about human beings. And that bothers me personally. Yeah. And rather than just sit and complain and bitch about it, I'm taking a stand and doing my own business, doing it the right way, and trying to get power for good and putting myself out there and speaking up about this. And that entire industry, no judgment. People are going to do what they're going to do to make money. But I believe as human beings, we have a responsibility to do it the good way. And that hasn't existed for a long time.
You're a good man, Ryback.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, listen, go follow him. Get some nutrition. I'm going to go to your website. If I tell you right now, you'll try to give me all that shit. I'll just go buy it. And I'm going to go listen to your podcast, folks. Listen to his podcast. If you love it, add it. If you don't, shit, at least give it a listen. I'm going to do so. But don't unsubscribe from dropping bombs, because who's the one that brought you Ryback in the first place, kids? Go out and share this episode. Appreciate you coming in. I'm going to have you back. Obviously, you're local.
Thank you.
We're going to hang out. I'll go get my blood work, and we'll fucking maybe do a before and after with your supplements.
Absolutely.
I'm about ready to start hitting it.
We're going to give you that feed me more mindset. And for me to end this, everybody, it wouldn't be Ryback without saying this. Feed me more.